All right. Here we are. 0.11. So we already had the announcement, so we know kind of what to expect. GGG is mostly focused on patching endgame, which is where we need to be. Now, this is not the big patch. You will note this is 0.11. This is not 0.2, for example. We do know there is a 0.2 in the works. The way Jonathan put it was this is everything that they could fix very readily and easily. Essentially, this is all like spreadsheet changes, very, very simple balance tweaks. Now, I do want to quickly mention, because this was something that was mentioned in the live stream, and it was something that there was at least a post at one point on the website here. I don't know what happened to that post, but if you have a Path of Exile account, especially one directly on the main page here, you should change your password. There was a data breach. The data breach has been fixed, and GGG is currently in the process of auditing their security again. But the long story short, apparently, was there was a member of the staff that, for whatever reason, had a Steam account tied to the same email account or this for their GGG account. So for whatever admin privileges that or whatever account was granting that, and like the vast majority of data breaches, the hacker socially engineered via Steam data off of that Steam account. And the worst part is this is an account that had not been used. This was an account where the hacker definitely did put their work in by finding this account, but apparently this account hadn't even been used. There weren't anything on it. But because also that account was so old and hadn't been used, the hacker was able to social engineer data from that account on Steam and then use that to break into the GGG account. We don't have a lot more in the way of details other than that. We know that they did record at least 66 accounts that might have been compromised, but due to record keeping laws in like New Zealand and the EU, there were records for accounts that may have been compromised that were not included in those 66. But it's very clear that the hacker was trying to be very choosy, so it's likely not a lot of accounts that got compromised, but even still, general internet safety warnings and stuff like that. Beware of phishing emails, beware of emails and messages claiming information about your account being breached. The best thing you can do right now is change your password. Make sure it is a unique password from any other accounts. And if you were using that password on your Path of Exile account with other accounts that you have, make sure you change those passwords as well to basically limit your vulnerability. Obviously, the biggest thing that GGG can do here, and I'm going to go ahead and put in my voice of this, I did this during the stream as well, is we need 2FA. According to Mark and Jonathan, this is not a technological issue. This is a policy issue. They are currently working on the policies for making 2FA work. Basically, essentially, when you have 2FA, it makes account recovery harder. So they need to have policies in place so that they can properly judge and determine when to restore an account with 2FA that has been breached or has had something go wrong where you lost like your authentication. Like if you're tied to your email and you lose that email address, or if you're tied to your phone and you lose that phone, they need to have protocols in place for that. So they are just working on that. And I would expect, especially with all of this and with community pressure, we will have 2FA probably relatively soon. I do want to laud the transparency that GGG had. I am a little worried with some of the reaction to the transparency. and the fact that the post got taken down, that GGG might have been punished for that transparency in some way or another, whether one of the account holders that got compromised has used it to file some kind of claim, or if a bad actor has used it to file some kind of claim, or possibly from some of the things I've seen, even like a government agency, like even the New Zealand government might have like filed something against GGG. I'm worried that that might cause a shrink in the transparency, and I would much prefer to know about these things than not know about them and have GGG tell us what happened. It does suck that in this corporate world, telling people what goes on behind the scenes is often asking for bad actors to do things, you know. But either way, that is all I'm going to say about that. So again, you know, don't trust any emails or any messages you get saying, you know, about, oh, you know, compromised data or anything like that. Don't click any links. If you're worried that your account got compromised, change your password. If you were using that password before on other accounts, change those passwords as well. That's the best thing you can do for yourself right now. All right, on to the reason we're here, the most holy of traditions under Christ Wilson, the reading of the patch notes. So again, 0.11, this is not a major patch, but this is going to include some balance changes that they could work in very quickly and easily after the holiday. And from what I understand, there are still people on holiday too, so it might take a little bit longer for things to get up. And also keep in mind, we don't know how the division of labor is currently going on right now, whether or not there is any flow back and forth between the two teams. So it's possible that a lot of labor might need to be working on 1 point, I think we're on what? We're on 1 point, or not 1 point, 4.16? No, 26. 26. We're on 26. Patch 26 for current Path of Exile, if I remember correctly. And then we also have the next big patch. And they do want to get Path of Exile to 2 major league style content drops. That's what they want to do. They want to have that period of, you know, okay, well, you know, you've played Path of Exile 2, you've contributed your feedback, you know, we've done some changes, you know, but we don't want to mess with the economy too much, even though the economy might need some fixing. So go ahead, go play other games, play Marvel Rivals, play Path of Exile 1 when the new league drops for that, and then we'll come back when we bring the new league, which is how a lot of these live service games do things. And they want to get Path of Exile 2 on that schedule again. But, you know, it's very clear that the game, like I said, I am a firm believer that the fundamentals of this game, including endgame, are strong. I think a lot of what needs to be changed is tuning. There are a couple of systems that I think need to be addressed. I think bosses need to be in every endgame map. They're fixing bossing. I know that's one of the things they announced is they're going to be fixing some bossing there. But yeah, I do think that it was a mistake to do that. I do think that there should be some type of auction house set up beyond the currency exchange myself. And I think that we probably do need the 3rd trial, and they need like some issues or changes regarding how trials work and regarding how some of the bosses work, especially the ultimatum bosses. I think that the fact that you only get one attempt at a given boss in ultimatum, then you can't really train yourself or teach yourself on the ultimatum bosses, is something that needs to be there. They're fixing that for the pinnacle boss, and I think they need to do that for ultimatum as well. So maybe Sanctum, but I haven't done any higher tier Sanctums yet, so. All right. This patch contains new endgame tower maps, checkpoints for map areas, respawn attempts for the Arbiter of Ash, as well as many monster changes, unique changes, improvements, and bug fixes. Endgame changes added 4 new tower map areas: Alpine Ridge, Bluff, Mesa, and Sinking Spire. So you will now have some more variety when you run your tower maps to get your towers unlocked. The Lost Towers map area has also been revamped. From what I understand, they're changing it to be more of just the particular end game, the second portion. So you got that first portion where you're kind of running on the lower walkways, and then you had the one where it's more like the ramparts. It sounds like they're going to be changing that so it's more of the rampart style. To address the problems of only having one attempt at Arbiter of Ash boss fight, you will now have up to 5 respawn attempts at this fight. Respawns can only be triggered by the person who put in the keys, and everyone in your party will be respawned at the same time. Leaving the map still forfeits your attempt, so you'll still need to fight the boss with the build you walked into the map with. Higher difficulties of the boss will lower the number of respawn attempts you receive. We'll be looking to add respawn attempts to other Pinnacle content over time, because obviously you have to put in a lot of work in to get to Pinnacle content, so it makes it hard to learn the boss fight. And that is what this is. This is similar to how in PoE 1 we have these kind of tutorial difficulty versions of the Pinnacle bosses. We now are going to have something resembling that for Arbiter of Ash and for the other Pinnacle bosses like King of the Mist and Zesht. The Arbiter of Ash can no longer be interrupted during his Falling Flame Seed skill. His Flaming Gale skill can no longer be blocked. So for some of this, it sounds like they are, like if in case you were thinking, oh, they're going to nerf the boss fight. Apparently not. The Arbiter of Ash boss is now invulnerable for longer during its emergence and now takes significantly reduced damage while emerging. The Arbiter of Ash is now way less likely to target minions when using his sword, which could prevent some of their skills being used. Added checkpoints to map areas, so we're getting some checkpoints in maps now to help move around maps. So for those of when you're doing so if you haven't run into this yet, it's very common in a map where you're going through the layout and you're killing the rares, and the rares show up on your map, and it turns out there's a rare that is you have to backtrack to get to. You'll now be able to use waypoints to help with that. Or use checkpoints, I mean. Map areas now contain a minimum of 3 rare monsters. This should hopefully help them be a little bit more rewarding. Citadels can now appear closer to the Ziggurat Refuge, so you don't have to travel quite as far to try to attempt Pinnacle content. Improve the visibility of citadels on the endgame map. You see a beacon off in the distance now, is what they showed in the announcement. Maps now display their biome when hovered in the Atlas UI, so you can see kind of what to expect as far as the terrain there. Added the new Overseer's Precursor tablet, a currency item which can be placed in complete towers to add map bosses to valid maps in radius. These tablets drop from map bosses and can roll exclusive modifiers that affect map bosses. So like I said, I personally think it was a mistake. And I find it's like, again, everything's opinion, but I honestly do think that this is one of those things where when in game design where it comes as close to a subjective design error as you can possibly get. When you have something you have invested so much time and that is so popular with your player base, to limit access to that. If you're putting the time and work in and your players are enjoying the content, the players should have access to the content or as ready access as possible. There are map bosses in PoE 1s in every map in PoE 1. I think there should be map bosses in PoE 2. But this will at least give us more access to those map bosses to make our maps more rewarding. Map areas have been adjusted to have more distinct specialties for the content they contain. For example, one map area might have more total number of monsters, while another is more likely to contain additional content such as strongboxes, essences, or shrines. Generally speaking, the more difficult a map is to clear or the smaller it is, the more access it will specialize in. Here is an overview of changes we've made to give maps more discernibility. I do not know the maps and map layouts well over my head to speak too much to this, so I'm going to go through this really quickly. But basically the goal is they're trying to balance map layout and content. So they're not trying to get rid of difficult or annoying map layouts, although I do think more annoying layouts should probably be fixed. But they're trying to make the maps more rewarding in regard to their layout. So a number of maps now spawn up to double the number of chests and twice as many minimum magic or rare chests. A number of maps now contain up to double the number of monsters. A number of maps now contain 50% more magic monsters and 50% more rare monsters. Higher minimum number of rare monsters you will encounter. Lower minimum number of rare monsters you encounter. So they're going to be tuning that based on layout. More chance to contain essence, more chance to contain strong boxes, more chance to contain shrines. Maps that are only exclusively found in biomes containing citadels now have 50% more chance to contain essences, strongbox, and shrines. So you're probably going to be hanging around a citadel to clear content, to get access to that citadel so that you can get access to pinnacle content. So these maps are going to be more rewarding. Unclaimed hideout areas now have substantially more magic monsters and fewer rare monsters. Monsters in the Untainted Paradise have been breeding. Untainted Paradise now contains 100% more monsters, of which spawn 100% more, thus quadruple magic and rare monsters. Improve the highlightability, clickability of shrines. So shrines are one of the changes I think that was one of the last made changes from what they had announced in the announcement trailer was you would have to clear the monsters around the shrines. Shrines are clickable. You can just go and click them and steal the shrine effect, just like you can in PoE 1, and now it's easier to do that. Reduce the damage scaling of monsters in simulacrum encounters was added difficulty. Adjusted the chance for maps to contain bosses. You should be encountering a boss roughly every 1 in 4 maps. This is what they announced it would be. So it is my understanding that this just wasn't tuned right, that something went wrong in procedural generation was the ratios they popped in, and so you weren't getting 1 in 4 map bosses. The chance for map bosses to drop a waystone of the current tier or higher has been reduced to account for the increase in total number of map bosses. So map bosses are not as reliable for sustain as before. So if you were, this is from what I understand, like this is one of those things where you have to understand the mechanic. Like the players who understand how waystone drops work are having no problem sustaining. It's players that are still learning it that are having difficulty. And so that is something GGG does need to address and make it easier for players to understand how to make sure they're getting the waystones they need. The Radiant Waystones Atlas notable passive now provides plus 15% chance for map bosses to drop a waystone of the current tier or higher, previously 25%. So they nerfed that. There's another nerf we're going down for map boss waystone chance. This has now gone down from 10 to 6. The I'm Not Afraid of You Delirium Atlas passive skill now grants Delirium bosses in your maps drop 100% increased Simulacrum splinters, previously 50. So we're seeing some buffs to Simulacrum. That is one of the mechanics that players were saying was not particularly rewarding. Didn't feel particularly rewarding. Whereas Breach is the one that a lot of players do, and as that comes into my mind, reduce the number of monsters in small chests from Breaches by 15%. So a little bit of a nerf to Breaches. Another buff to Simulacrum. Increase the amount of Simulacrum splinters found in maps by 20%. Added dedicated 2D art for waystones that are instilled with layers of Delirium. Crisis Fragments, Breachstone, Simulacrums, and an Audience with the King now have a more appropriate gold value to vendors. So if you just want to sell them to vendors so you can gamble more, you can do that. Increased how far you zoom out on the endgame map on a keyboard and mouse input to match the zoom level on controller input. So I guess that was just something where they'd not quite done it right, or maybe they thought it would be easier. Maybe they thought controller does need work, but apparently those changes are not going to be easy to fix, at least from this, because I know controller changes and console changes need work. And I'm pretty sure GGG has acknowledged that. That's going to take a lot more work. hey, the allergies are actually hitting me on a PoE stream and not just a 40k stream today. Which is not a good thing, honestly, but... see. Skill changes. Now, here's ones where I'm not going to be as knowledgeable on all of these because I've only got a couple of characters under me right now. Supercharged Slam now has each successive actor shot gains plus 0.5 meters to radius up to 3 meters, previously uncapped. So that's another nerf to Supercharged Slam, which I know a lot of Warrior players are not going to be happy about any nerfs to Warrior. Or I should honestly say Mace skill players, because technically this is not tied to Warrior, but it should be noted that right now it is feeling like the characters, you can still go anywhere you want in the passive tree, but it is feeling much more like the characters, it is harder to gain access to other portions of the tree. So if you want to play Maces, Warrior is probably the way you want to go. But that might change. You know, people might find some cool tech as we keep going along. And of course, as more classes and more nodes and stuff come out. Scavenge Plating now grants you stacks for a duration based on the enemy's rarity. Normal enemies grant 1 stack, magic enemies grant 2 stack, rare enemies grant 5 stack, and unique enemies grant 10 stacks. So if you're using Scavenge Plating, which is one of the I think that's a notable, then you can build up armor a little bit better depending on who you're fighting. The Lightning Bolt skill granted by Choir of the Storm unique amulet has been renamed to Greater Lightning Bolt to differentiate from skills granted by staves. Triggered Greater Lightning Bolts are now unable to trigger a subsequent Greater Lightning Bolt if the first was a critical hit. Greater Lightning Bolt now deals roughly 3.5 times more lightning damage compared to Lightning Bolt. So this is a bit of nerf to lightning skills, which I do seem to recall is one of the builds that is currently overtuned. And this does seem more like one where it was not functioning as intended. The Temporalis unique body armor can no longer reduce the cooldown of skill to below 100 milliseconds. So you will still get 0.1 second cooldown. Skills socketed in a metagem sockets can no longer gain energy. So basically, and again, this is, I think, basically functioning how it was supposed to function in the end was, you're supposed to use your other skills to gain energy, and then when the skill triggers, that is the skill triggering, and then, you know, it's not supposed to be, oh, well, I can just get infinite meta skills by constantly having my triggered skills gain me more energy. That's not the way it's supposed to work. Clarified Vein Arrow. Playing a little bit too much Anti-Drakari. Clarified Vine Arrow's description to explicitly state that it hits enemies on landing. Remove the aura tag from Pain Offering for consistency with other minion skills, as the skill does not directly create an aura. The aura is created by the summoned minion. Monster changes. Monsters now have increased toughness per essence modifier affecting them. Oh boy. This could make some of the fights more interesting. Added a small delay before monsters released from essence monoliths can use their skills. That's kind of nice because they are honestly just popping their skills off the second things break. Forsaken miners now throw less grenades, which have also had their damage reduced and their visuals improved. That's good because those are a little hard to keep track of. Ruja, the Dread Engineer's grenades now deal less damage in Cruel and maps. Reduced how far away from Ferrodin Plaguebringers can use their Detonate Dead skill from. The telegraphing for this skill has been improved. Yeah, this was not well telegraphed. This was not well telegraphed at all. Reduced how far away Lost Men Zealots can use their Meteor skill from. The visual of this skill has also been improved. Yeah, these were hitting from off maps that needed to be changed, or from off screen. Lightning Storm skill used by Lost Men Zealots should now always strike at the telegraph marker as opposed to somewhere random. Filthy Crone no longer uses the projectile vomit skill point blank in front of you because that's just rude, and now has a basic projectile attack. This helps you not get shotgun down in one shot from this. I've been one shot by a filthy crone. That's one of my deaths. Reduce the leap distance of Vile Vulture Leap's skill. The visuals of the skill have also been improved. That's good. Reduce the axe throwing distance of Vol X-Men. Again, they were hitting from off screen. Reduce the area of effect for Filthy Firstborn on Death Explosion. The visibility of the area of effect has also been improved. Yeah. That is definitely, this is one of those. So there's a lot of currently community complaints around on death effects and explosions just hitting too far, being too hard to get away from, too hard to see, etc. The vomit skill used by Rotting Hawks and Bog Hawks now deal less damage and can no longer be used point blank in front of you. Again, stopping from getting shotgunned by this. Adjusted the damage area of the Bloated Miller slam skills to more closely match the visual effects. Adjust the damage area of Zalmarath the Colossus attacks to more closely match the visual effects. Adjust the targeting behavior for Zalmarath the Colossus. The arm's no longer targetable. And we were having some interesting... there are some interesting collision things going on with Zalmarath. Adjusted the damaging area of Balak, the Skyseer's tornadoes, to more closely match the visual effect. Tornadoes now push you slightly away when they appear, and now deal less damage when they first appear before ramping up. So these are still going to one-shot you. These suckers are still going to one-shot you. But yeah, they are no longer as brutal as they... You've the big thing is it really was hard to tell where the damaging area of this was from my experience with this boss fight. So, but yeah, you're still going to need to make sure you avoid that tornado. Reduced how often Prowling Shades can use their invisibility. I hadn't had a lot of problem with that lately. But that can obviously be very annoying. These guys are annoying in PoE 1. I hadn't had that much problem with them here, but you know, that is definitely, anytime you've got a monster that's just avoiding combat, that's a feels bad. Adjusted the frequency of some monsters such as Prowling Shades and Gelid Zealots, so basically making it so less of kind of like the champion versions of the mobs are showing up, which might potentially create some difficulties with what's the word? It might create some difficulties with rewards as well. But I don't know how much the different champion monsters or champion mobs were improving rewards or drops. Vol Zealots are now less likely to repeatedly use their Eye of Winter skill. Thank you. Improve the visual effect of Fiery Zealot's Firestorm skill. That's probably just to make sure it's easier to dodge and get around. Adjusted the damaging area of Executioner's attacks to more closely match their visual effects. The telegraphing of his Guillotine Slam has also been improved. I didn't run into too much trouble with this, but it wouldn't surprise me if that was an issue. Improve the visibility of Cultist Archer skills. Their Toxic Rain skill also now deals less damage. That's good. Jaman Ra, the Risen King's zombie skirt, no longer spontaneously explodes on death. I had not seen that happen. But I've heard about that. I've heard about that happening. Mighty Silverfist Commando roll skill now deals significantly less damage. I do want it to have a little bit more telegraphing too. It comes out really quickly, and I've not noticed much in the way of an audio cue or anything like that to respond to it. But the fact that it does less damage is also will help a little bit. So that'll allow us to basically try to get around it if we're in melee, and then make sure we don't get hit by any subsequent slam. Reduced how often Azok Stalkers use their slam skills. Walking Goliath no longer deal damage twice when they fall over. Their slam now deals more damage in the center and less around the edges. I've noticed that. I had noticed that they seem to be kind of weird with how their slams hit. Reduce the distance which Walkers in the Trial of the Sekhmet are able to initiate their skill. We've also fixed an issue where they were not dealing damage correctly, meaning they now deal more damage. But again, this is just, you're supposed to avoid the attack because it's Trial of the Sekhmet. Slither Spitters no longer deal damage twice with their projectile attack. Their melee attack now deals physical damage instead of chaos. That's nice. This seems like it was a bug. The density of monsters in Exile has been reduced. Monsters contained in the area are now more likely to be a weaker variety. Interesting. I honestly thought that Exile was a pretty fun area to fight through myself. I think Exile needed to be smaller, not less dense. Density of monsters in Dreadnought areas has been adjusted to result in less swarming encounters. Again, I personally thought that this was a relatively good monster density. Again, I think that the Dreadnought needed to be maybe a little bit smaller, but not less dense. But if they're going to, hey, maybe they'll drop the density too eventually. Improve the telegraphing for Azok Shaman's Detonate Dead skill. Yeah, again, having problems with any kind of like retributive or corpse explosion abilities. Improve the telegraphing for crystals left by Vol Goliaths when they die. Thank you. Chaos pustules in ritual encounters have had their visuals improved. Thank you. The impending doom modifier in Trial of Chaos now has more time before it explodes and has had its visuals improved. If this is the one I think it is, I think there needs to be a slight nerf to the area too, because there are certain arenas where it just hits the entire arena. And I haven't seen or found any ways to avoid that. But if you know of one. Bots Day. We're getting all the bots today, it looks like. Or potentially scammers too, because one of them was obviously responding, but I could tell I know I've gotten to the point where I know when it's a scammer or a bot. At least I'm starting to see the conversation pattern, the post patterns that they use. All right, volatile plants are now much more noticeable both before and as they are about to explode. I want their rate of fire taken down. They send out too many. That's my problem. Like, they send out way too many, and if you're playing melee, they are very, very hard to deal with. Especially if you're playing warrior and you're trying to use like any kind of like long cast or long attack cycle ability. I just think that they're just being spawned too fast, because they spawn like right on top of each other. They spawn that you get a group of 3. And then, in my experience, by the time, because my usual response when I see volatiles is as soon as I see the volatile, I go trigger them. But by the time I've triggered them, like they've already spawned 3 more to send 3 more volatiles, and that's just way too fast. Improve the telegraphing of the anchor drops from monsters affected by Essence of Torment. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, I missed them. Improve the visual area of effect monster by Essence of Electricity. This time before the area of effect explodes has also been increased. Thank you. Elemental explosions caused by minion death or those purely cast by rare monsters have had their visual effects improved. The delay before they explode has also been increased. Excellent. The aura from prevents recovery above 50% monsters now has a visible radius. Kind of always felt like it was visible before. But maybe because it does look like the bubble looks very similar to the temporal bubble. So maybe they've changed it a bit. Pardon me. Woo, the allergies are hitting my streams equally now. 3 cheers for the allergies. Now all of my streams can just be subtitled Z has allergies. The aura from, okay, yep, I just read that one. And the shielding monsters modifier has been re-enabled in the Trial of Chaos. Oh, joy. All right, general changes and improvements. Enabled migrating from solo self-found league to their corresponding parent leagues. This can be done from League Migrations button. This was a feature we were always supposed to have. It just apparently was missing on release. Or I should say EA release. Strong boxes have been adjusted to spawn waves of enemies over a much shorter period of time. Thank you. Strongbox fog effect now fades away once all waves of enemies have been spawned. Thank you. Again, lets us know when we're done fighting. Any kind of this just makes the fight more interesting, and then this one is better for communication. Anything that is better visually communicating what is going on, I'm always going to be in favor of. Significantly increased the chance to encounter research strongboxes. I have not even encountered one, so thank you for that. Added a visual effect to distinguish which monsters have been spawned by a strongbox. This is something that exists in PoE 1. I don't know why this didn't exist to begin with, because like this is also how you track down and make sure you hit all of the monsters keeping your strongbox locked. The volcanic crag, lightning storms, ice spikes, and chaos barrage strongbox modifiers have all been adjusted to activate after a delay. Excellent. Gives you a chance to kind of get away. Charms now play an effect on your character when they are automatically used. Excellent. Again, that's just visibility readability issue. Socketables such as runes can now be overwritten by placing another socketable item into the socket. Note, we are overwriting our sockets, not recovering. We are not right-clicking to get the socket out. So this just, it allows us to basically recraft. You use scours for that in PoE 1. In this, they're basically saying, well, you're going to lose what's inside the socket. So that's enough of a cost in order to justify this. And I think that's fine. I think that is personally, that's going to make fixing gear a lot easier. It'll also mean that a lot of stuff where I was hesitant to craft the sockets and put sockets in for fixed gear, now I don't feel the need to wait until I, say get all of my suffixes before I select which resistance I'm putting in there. Yeah, this was a much needed change. Attempting to salvage an item now highlights which items in your inventory can be salvaged and displays item sockets. Thank you. Flasks with quality are now able to be salvaged. I was curious whether or not that was intended or not, because the tooltip says that the item needs quality. But obviously you couldn't socket flasks even though they did, or I shouldn't say salvage flasks even though they did. So this will help keeping your flask. This also means that you can actually use glass blowers on your items in the campaign. Armor has been made more effective by approximately 15%. So it's my understanding there was a bit of a problem with how armor was working. Like it was literally armor was not doing what it was supposed to do. This is more complicated. Like there's more going on in the background here than what they're saying. And so this one patch note is actually doing a lot of work, but apparently they're just fixing a lot of like how armor should have been working in the first place and making sure it's working properly. So that'll hopefully help a lot with warrior and any of the melee combat that you're doing. Anyone trying to do armor builds. More monsters are now able to be pushed while dodge rolling. This generally applies to most monsters smaller than a skeleton. So you can now roll through a lot more crowds. But again, you do still... The goal here is that this is if you screwed up, you get a chance to undo your screw up. They do still want you to not proc a massive swarm that is more than you can handle. Objects such as delirium shards can no longer be pushed by other monsters. I had not seen that. I had not noticed that happen. That is silly as heck. Increase the chance for omens to appear as ritual rewards. Thank you. Those currently are, and again, it should be pointed out, crafting currently does not feel very good or very rewarding. This is not as intended. There are more crafting mechanisms coming, but this was supposed to be one of the ones to help us with crafting in the meantime. So this will hopefully help a lot with our crafts. Reduce the chance for items to roll some of the less desirable item modifiers. Oh, so they actually talked a lot. There's going to be, they've tweaked item modifiers a lot, and we're going to see that. But basically, higher tier items were sometimes getting rid of useful modifiers that they shouldn't have been getting rid of, or making it so that those modifiers just were so rare you basically didn't see them even though you really wanted them. So they're tweaking that to try to make items more rewarding, especially higher tier items. Distilled emotions require you to instill a passive skill onto an amulet are now only displayed on the passive skill tree after you have picked up your first distilled emotion. So this is just some communication thing, prevent things from being confusing, making a player go, "What the heck does this do?" Added an exit portal to the Trial Masters Arena. Thank you. Remove the level requirement to access expedition vendors. Interesting. Cool. That's very nice. Again, I didn't notice that, but that's because I've been exploring so much. I tend to be over leveled. Rarity of items in Expedition Vendor Shop now increases with shop level, so shops generally have more rare items at higher levels. This doesn't affect existing shops, and you will need to use a reroll currency to generate shops with the improved rarity. So, yeah. If you've got any of these set aside, go quickly reroll. Reduce visual clutter in many map areas to improve visibility of skills and effects. Added a tutorial for activating your first persistent buff skill gem. We need more tutorials all around for EA. They need to improve. Again, we don't want to. The goal is not to make it so that players who aren't going to invest in the game, aren't going to invest time and effort into the game, are rewarded for not investing that time and effort. The goal is to make the players who want to play the game, who want to invest the time and effort, the goal is to, give them the hand up they need to get over like the learning hurdles. That's what the goal should be. Improve and fix inconsistency for walkability. Yep, this is something I'd noted in a lot of my feedback with some areas. And this is monsters too. Some monsters were occasionally getting hung up, but rolls would get hung up, skill effects would get hung up, things like that. Improve the loading time of the world map. Thank you very much. Reduce the initial player revive time to 2.5 seconds, previously 3. Thank you very much. I still think this is probably good if you're playing co-op. Unless you're playing in a larger party, you're probably not going to be reviving your teammates very easily. Reduce the player revive time penalty to 1.5 seconds per death, previously 2 seconds. Yeah, it's still, once you've died once, your revives are going to suck. Alva now has an option to gamble for items when placed in your hideout. Thank you. Now can I have my turtle? I want my turtle. Reviving minions that died from being out of range of you now instead immediately revive near you. Excellent. So basically, before, when you walked away from your minions would die and then they'd go on cooldown. Now they're going to die and pop right back up. So it's kind of like the old blinking minions had in Diablo 2. Except there will be an animation played. So, but they don't contribute to your cooldown. So that's the important thing. The quest tracker now shows which quests are applicable for the area you're currently in. Thank you. Uncut gems now show their level on the item label. Trying to, does that apply to something? Oh, okay. I'm all right. I see what they're saying. Okay. Okay. Um, I'm still a little confused there because they do say what. Hmm. Interesting. All right. There must be something in a tooltip I'm missing here because I'm like, what? Uncut gems should tell you what level they are. All right. But so this must be like a fix. This must be a fix in tooltips and stuff like that. Charms now display their number of charges when they're active. Thank you very much. That way you can know when you're burning through charms, and I think there are times when you do burn through charms. I'm wondering, this will test a theory of mine, allow me to test a theory. I think sometimes, especially with slowing charms, it burns through all of your charges in rapid succession, and I think that needs to be fixed. But we'll see. We'll now actually be able to tell if that's what's going on. Updated the world map icon for when you've completed quest encounters and found items to make it more clear when they've been completed. Thank you. The big thing is there are some where it seemed to be bugged and it wasn't showing when you done it. Other than that, I didn't have any difficulty telling when it was completed, but some players with certain vision impairments might have issues there. Added propagating weapon effect options to the cosmetic panel UI. So that's for cosmetics. That's cool. It's not something I care too much about, but I know people who do. The Arian's Cobble, Heartbound Loop, Iron Ride, and Mirus Uxor uniques have received 2D art. That is something I did not notice. I thought I had not seen anything that hadn't gotten their unique 2D art. Hand of Wisdom and Action unique has received 3D art. Added flavor text for Edirn's Tusk Splinter Heart uniques. After activating an Omen of Whittling, hovering over an item before applying a Chaos Orb to it will display which modifier will be re-rolled. Cool! That is always useful. Again, great, better communication in game and better. Improved performance of the Zyclusian the Chimera boss fight. Okay, so this is base Chimera, which I honestly think is a pretty good boss fight. It's Uxmal is the one I think they need to completely and totally go back to the drawing board on. Improved performance of the lava in the Molten Vault. Reduce screen clutter, improve. So we're getting improved performance. So these are always going to be. There's usually going to be like a patch note for just unspecified changes to performance. They're constantly tweaking the engine for trying to make it perform better, and now we'll be trying to make it perform better for both games. Improved performance of areas of bright lights. Improved performance of Ziggurat encampment in order to reduce occurrence of unloaded textures. Burning ground can no longer spawn underneath interactables such as levers. Thank you very much. This is something I had noted that I'm like, arr. Monsters can no longer spawn near the close to the entrance. Monsters can no longer spawn near the close to the entrance. I think they messed that up, but basically you won't be swarmed as soon as you go into a map. This often causes players to be immediately be attacked upon moving. Added keyword for honor resistance, so this will help you understand the honor mechanics in Sanctum. Delirious monsters are no longer untargetable during their emerging animation. As a result, they should no longer push you during this. You can now pick up items and interact with some objects while performing other actions. I actually had noticed that. It just, I didn't know what was going on there, whether or not it was bug or intended. You now pick up items and interact with some objects while performing other actions. Thank you. The attack in place stops movement option no longer prevents walking on skills that can be used while moving. Thank you. I literally just discovered that the other day. The last when I was playing on my new character. I'm playing Witch and I'm playing Wazda movement. And I had literally just noticed that. I didn't report it though because I wanted to see patch notes first. Continue to incrementally improve. Here it is. This is the one that is doing so much work and you don't even know. Like, again, if you don't believe me, just load up like 2.0. Like, look at some of the videos of what Path of Exile 2.0 looked like. Forget 1.0 beta and alpha. Just look at 2.0 versus how Path of Exile 1 looks now. And, versus Path of Exile 2. Because this is the same engine. This is the same animation engine, same environment engine, all of it. So it's just the implementation of the mechanics that's different. Unique item changes. So they are buffing unique items quite a bit, is what I'm understanding. The Alchemera unique shield now provides plus 50 to 70 maximum mana, up from 15 to 30. Existing versions of this unique can be updated using a divine orb. We're probably going to see that a lot, that you're going to need to use your divines, but hey, maybe that'll actually take some divines out of the economy. Oh, the Arvor's Wheel unique shield no longer has 40 to 60 increased block chance. It now provides plus 40 to 60 to maximum life and plus 40 to 60 to maximum mana. The Ashford unique body armor now provides 30 to 40 to fire resistance, previously 20 to 30, and adds 10 to 20 to strength. Asphyxia's Wrath unique quiver now adds 3 to 4 to 5 to 8 cold damage to attacks. So that's just a flat new modifier on that. The Asak's Sight unique helmet now provides 30 to 40% increased critical hit chance, previously 20 to 40, and adds 100 to 150% increased evasion and energy shield. Atziri's Acuity unique gloves now provide 30 to 50 increased critical hit chance, previously 20 to 30. Existing versions of this item can be updated using a divine orb, so not all of them are going to need divines. So any of the ones, like for example, that are getting like property rerolls or new properties are apparently just going to get them. The Barrow Dweller unique body armor now provides damage of enemies hitting you is unlucky while you are on low life. Cool. Belly now has 25 to 30 to 35 to 40 physical thorns damage. I might make it for people trying to roll thorns builds, because I know Mathel was working on a thorns build. Birth of Fury now provides 20% increased movement speed, up from 15. That's always good. More speed is better. Having a unique that you want for boots that doesn't give you movement speed is always annoying. And more resistance. So, and again, you use a divine on that. Black Doubt now has 10 to 20% cold resistance. Black Braid now has increased armor and elemental resistance. Black Gleam now has fire damage. Black Heart now has more chaos damage. Bloodthorn now has more physical damage. Blue Flame Bracers now provide more energy shield. Bones of Earl now provide more mana. Well, it can provide more mana, more life, and it provides more life and mana, but it can provide. You got a technically a lower minimum but higher maximum, because it was just flat 25. So you might need to spend a couple of divines on that one if you're using the bones. Brain Rattler has had its physical damage improved, and its lightning damage improved. Bramblejack has had its life improved. The cannot evade and regenerates 5% of life per second while surrounded. Interesting. This is because, of course, you're doing this for a Thorns build. So they added the cannot evade so that you don't accidentally not get your Bramblejack going. Brass Dome now has more armor. Has a chance to roll better maximum elemental resistance than before. So you now get a chance to not be capped as badly. Briar Patch has more thorns for if you're trying to do thorns build. Has thorns for if you're trying to do thorns build. Brisk Wrap now improves your evasion. Bristlebore has a flat reduced evasion rating, is what it looks like they're doing here. So before it was variable and you could roll really, really bad reduced evasion. Now it's just a flat 50. And now gain 5 rage when hit by enemy. So previously 3, so more rage generation. and it now gives you some life regen. The Bronzebeard unique helmet now provides more maximum life, and it's a flat maximum life instead of a roll. Brunibos unique belt now provides 30 to 40 increased lightning resistance, so better lightning resist. Brian Hand's mark, yeah, they have, boy, they really went through. So even more physical damage, even more strength. You now get some attack speed on it too. Unique ring, the Burrower has now changed this to a flat -10 to cold resist instead of a roll. And then improved mana regeneration. Candlemaker unique gloves now provide better resistance. And then this is still a roll, but it is a better roll chance for less of a penalty. And it also gives you fire damage and reduced cold damage. Carrion Call now causes minions to have increased damage. Fan of minion builds, gotta like that. Gazzy's got to be happy about that too. Chopper Chamber now has more. Now has a physical damage roll, a crit chance roll. Oh, and no longer has its physical damage roll and a crit chance roll. It now adds physical damage and spirit, which is good, especially since it is a two-hander. So we're getting flat physical damage and we're getting spirit now, but it's no longer a crit weapon. But again, it's kind of more of a minion build. Chopper Chamber is usually meant for minion builds, so. But it's probably for a class of minion builds we don't have in the game yet, because this is basically something you usually used on a commander build. And even then there were better builds you could get, or better weapons you could get. Corona of the Red Sun now has fire resistance. Crown of the Pale King now has thorns damage. So they're really trying to make that thorns build a thing. Dancing Mirage now has better evasion and energy shield. Dark Defiler has improved damage of chaos damage per undead minion. Deathblow unique gloves now has attack speed. Defiance of Destiny unique amulet now has a better life recovery on it. Deedbell now has a strength roll. Interesting. In fact, it had one in PoE 1, so I haven't run into Deedbell. I haven't run into a lot of these yet. Devouring Diadem now has a life roll. Dionadir has less of a stun threshold penalty on it, and it gives you regeneration. Doedra's Tenure now has energy shield. Doomgate now has chaos resistance. Let's see. Adirn's Tusk now has better chance to inflict bleed. Elevor's unique helmet now has better dexterity. And it also gives you a charm slot. So there's a way to get another charm slot. Oh, look at this guy. All right, gonna have to read through this one. I don't think I've run into Arian. The Arian's Cobble unique helmet now provides more armor, more evasion rating and life, more energy shield and mana. It now provides more fire, cold, and lightning resistance. It now provides, this is kind of like a Venter's Gamble. Now provides a better chance or higher. These are basically the higher top rolls on the Gamble. Has a higher top roll for life regen, a higher top roll for accuracy, higher top roll for strength, dexterity, and intelligence. In addition to the above, it also now provides a higher top roll for critical hit chance, and a higher top roll for item rarity. Existing versions. Okay, so I don't know entirely how this works. It looks like you've got sets of properties you can get with potential ranges. I don't know how many properties it can roll, but it looks like you get like one from each set, I'm guessing, or something like that. Or, yeah. or maybe you get all of one set. But I'll have to take a look and do some research on this. But this is an interesting looking. This is kind of our version of Enter's Gamble. It looks like. Eternal Spark has increased mana regeneration rate, and now also just has a flat increase to your mana regeneration rate. So you're always going to be regenerating more mana, but you get even more when you're stationary. Ezmite's Peak has a better life roll and also has life regen. Feathered Fortress has a better resist roll and better dex rolls. Forbidden Gaze now has better cold resist rolls. Frost Breath now has better physical and cold damage, and it now has a crit roll. Gamble Sprint now has better lightning resist roll, and it can also give you some item rarity. Gravebind now has cold resist. Grip of Winter now has cold. Why would you have an item called Grip of Winter and not have it give you cold resist? Gloom Form now gives you fire resist. Hog Hunt now has switched from a percent damage bonus to a flat damage bonus. Hollow Mask now has chaos resist. Horns of Bindon now has armor, or has more armor, I should say. Hrimnir's Hymn now has a bit more physical damage. Husks of Dreams now has a better chaos resist roll and better flash charges roll. Immortan Unique Body Armor has been renamed to the Road Warrior. Oh, I'm willing to bet there might have been a C&D involved there. Because technically Immortan might be considered a proper name, but that gets rid of the culpability. It no longer has the armor bonus. Instead, we've got better fire resistance. And it now gives you life regen and attributes. Inferno Clasp. This has better fire resistance. Wow, there's so many of these. Infinite Pursuit has better movement speed. Thank you very much. Innsmouth now provides evasion. Iron Grasp now provides strength. Iron Hide now provides life. John Gripper now provides increased armor and evasion. Keelhaul has more life flask gain. Or no, it's now a flat life and mana flask gain. Killjoy now has increased critical. Knight Errant now has elemental ailment. Learcast now has dex. Legion Stride now has now it's flat armor, and it also gives you stun threshold. Loctaniel's Caress now gives you armor. Luminous Pace now gives you energy shield. Lycosidae now gives you a poison on block, or more poison on the block. Mask of Sanguinomancer now has evasion rating and maximum energy shield. Matsia has now cold and lightning damage added to it. The Mist Whisper has more cold damage on it, and it also does an increased chill effect, which is nice. Nazir's Judgment has had its, again, we're seeing a lot of this. We're having a lot of the increased physicals replaced with flat physical. One of the reasons they might have done that, by the way, is just because of how damage calculations works. A lot of the damage calculation that you get on your end from your character power is in this form of increased damage. So, but you need better flat for that to trigger. So, Necromantle now gives your minions chaos resistance. Northpaw gives you more physical damage and also has evasion rating. Original Sin no longer has chaos resistance to 0 and instead now provides 17 to 23% to chaos resistance. Interesting. So they just about faced on that one. Maybe that was because of an interaction that was going on with chaos inoculation or something. Painter Servant no longer provides flat cold resistance or flat fire cold. It now just gives you elemental damage gained as fire damage, elemental damage gained as cold damage, and lightning damage. So that is again a very, very drastic change. Pariah's Embrace, unique body armor, now provides bonus to all attributes. Plague Finger now provides more poison. Power Tread now gives you even more. So this is bringing back some of the, I kind of get a kick out. This is bringing back some of the power charge stuff or some of the charge stuff. So it gives you even more critical. See, Prayer for Rain now gives you some lightning resistance. Quaddle's Model now gives you max life, gives you more max life, and it gives you evasion. Kekokli now gives you even more physical damage. Seeing Stars gives you more cold damage, more lightning damage. Sentry now gives you more fire damage, but it has no physical damage, but it gives you accuracy. Siran Inheritance. Just guessing. I'm guessing on a lot of these. Like some of these, like I'm pretty sure this is Kekokli. And this is Quaddle or Quathel. It might be Quekoli. Yeah. Smiling Knight gives you even more armor and evasion. Snakebite now gives you better chance to poison, and also gives you some life regen. Splinterheart gives you even more physical damage. Tetzalcoatl's Desire now gives you intelligence. Thunderstep now gives you even more movement speed, and again, well, more max movement speed. And again, more movement speed is always good. And then even more lightning. Titanrot gives you a lot more armor. Again, there seems to be fixing some armor builds here. And more strength. Trample Toe, again, more movement speed. Yeah, you got boots. You need movement speed on boots. Treefinger is more physical damage, and it also now gives you stun buildup, but it reduces your attack speed. We're still interested. Like I actually do kind of want to have the idea of the really big hulking slam, but I'm still not sure that works with the way combat currently works in the game. But I'm probably going to try playing around with it again at some point. Probably when we get a few more tools, maybe. Also, when I get a little bit further into endgame with my warrior, with my current warrior, which is a slam, somewhat of a slam build, but I'm not solely focusing on slams with it. I'm playing around with a few mechanics. I'll probably need to respecialize it at some point. But at some point, I might rebuild it into a more pure slam build. Okay. Treefingers has more physical damage, and okay, I just read that. Trench Timber now also has more physical damage. Trafina's now has more physical damage. Ungil's Harmony. God, they improve literally every unique. I am literally getting the impression that almost every unique has had something done to it. So even more crit chance. Visage of Aya now has lightning resist. Vol's Protector now has chaos resist. Wake of Destruction now has movement speed. Wanderer Reliquary now has stun threshold. Wild Scream has had its movement speed improved and also has curse skills, cast speed. Wings of Kalen now has more armor. Wonder Trap now has more movement speed, more strength, dexterity, and intelligence, and now has energy shield. And Wyland Stake Unique Mace now has more physical damage, and it also provides fire resistant, more fire resistance and strength. Woo! They were not kidding. They were not kidding when they said they were revisiting uniques. All right, bug fixes. We fixed some. Darn it. I have said it before and I will continue to say it. Don't get allergies. It's a trap. All right. So we have 4 unnamed client clashes and instance crashes that have been fixed. Fixed a bug where Mana Flare, Elemental Discharge, and the version of Ember Fusillade triggered by Dust Visual were not considered triggered skills. Fixed a bug with some objects such as vine arrow plants were incorrect counted as targets when dealing splash damage through implicit modifier on the Cultist Great Hammer base item type. Fixed a bug where Siege Cascade was targeting vine arrow plants and frostwall ice crystals. Wow. Fixed a bug where Herald of Ice was still exploding shattered enemies when the gem was set to be used with your currently inactive weapon set. We're gonna be seeing a lot of these, unfortunately, because it is early access. So, fixed a bug where concoction skills were considered bow skills, and as a result, could be affected by increased damage with bow skills. I mean, I know that's obviously a bug, but like having, I think there needs to be some way. I think to scale concoctions. Fixed a snapshotting issue with Energy Shield when using Mask of the Stitch Demon unique. I'm not sure. Oh, and as an Infernalist. Okay, so something was going on where it's not recording your proper Energy Shield when using probably like your demon form. Fixed a bug where minion pack support was able to drain life of Lingering Illusion. Fixed a bug where tier 5 bows could not roll increased attack speed, and tier 5 rings could not roll maximum life. Yep, they mentioned that, and they mentioned that in the. I find it interesting they chose that a bug. That was probably just something that accidentally screwed up with the balance on the higher tiers. Fixed a bug where you could briefly be unable to perform any skills if you tried to interact with an object and dodge rolled at the same time. I did not run into that, but that is a, yeah, that's a bad one. Fixed an issue with a checkpoint for the Temple of Kopek boss fight could sometimes take you to the first checkpoint in the area. Although you should be able to bounce back, but still that would be annoying. Fixed a bug preventing the quality bonus on Shock Burst rounds and Hailstorm rounds from applying. Fixed a bug where Shockwave Totem did not work when used with the support gem Astral Projection. Fixed the client crash with Power Siphon while holding a shield. It's a good thing I haven't been holding a shield when using Power Siphon. Fixed the client crash that could occur in Couch Co-op when interacting with a unique stash tab. Fixed a client crash that could occur in Couch Co-op while interacting with a Corruption Altar. Fixed a bug where Vine Arrow was not slowing enemies. Fixed a bug that caused. Now the thing that you want to listen to here is like things like this, where if you thought Vine Arrow was garbage, like maybe one of the reasons you didn't like Vine Arrow is it wasn't working properly. Fixed a bug where Sekima Sala that caused Sekima Sala to fail to shield you during Jamin Ra. I had not seen that, but I had seen some bugs with Asala. Fixed a bug where terrain generation for client can get out of sync with the server for Trial of the Sekimas. Fixed a bug where the influence range of lost towers could fail to display when interacting with the map device in your hideout. Fixed a bug where crossbows could... Actually, I think I'd seen that. I just hadn't noticed that. Because I noticed that once you use something, the influence range shows. But I didn't know that that was supposed to be showing all the time. That's actually really important information to have. So again, information clarity. Fixed a bug where crossbows could fail to reload if the player did not have enough mana available. So you just run out of mana and then you can't even do your normal crossbow shots. Fixed a bug where Spark could fail to cast while standing on the edge of walkable terrain. Fixed a bug where Temp Chains debuff icon was not displayed in the correct description. Fixed a bug where the unique item Fire Flower could fail to cause fire damage to the player when an enemy was ignited. Fixed a bug where Ghost Dance would remain active when a player no longer met the spirit requirements. Fixed a bug where the Wave Forward Atlas passive caused the Arbiter of Ash to drop tier 16 Waystones instead of tier 15. Fixed a bug where some unique... I didn't even know tier 6... I thought like they were going for max tier 15 this time. Fixed a... Maybe tier 16s might come on later for like a future content or something. Future content drop. Fixed a bug where some unique bows did not play audio when firing arrows. Fixed a bug where engraving a support gem did not play audio. I've also just had support gems disappear, so... Fixed a bug where quest items could not drop again from their respective objective if the player dropped them on the ground in an area where the difficulty was different to where it was obtained. Characters in a broken state should now be able to re-obtain their quest objective. So that might be fixing some players, so... If you ended up with this, you might be able to get your character back. Fixed a bug where some interactables could be canceled by using dodge roll. Fixed a bug where using a flask could cause the player to lose life if item stat requirements weren't met in both weapon sets. Fixed a bug where friends would show as offline when they changed character. Fixed a bug where intro cinematics did not play on the PC platform. I have actually seen that because I noticed it when I play with my niece. We get the intro cinematic, but when I load in on PC, I don't. I was curious as to why that was. Apparently, it was just a bug. Fixed a bug where incomplete unique items could be obtained. Okay. It makes me wonder if any of my unique items were not complete. Fix some wonky interactions with the additional inventory slots from Titan's Colossal Capacity Ascended passive skill. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hopefully this is working tight. The items in my inventory work properly now. I'll have to play around with that at least a little bit. Fix the bug where the hooded one would not identify. Thank you. Fix the bug so the inventory no longer opens when dragging the Atlas map UI with the cursor over map mode. Fix a visual bug where walking away from a corpse and back to it could visually display a new remnant with Grim Feast. Fixed a bug in the Riverside map where the boss arena force field could appear before entering the boss fight. Fixed a bug where the energy shield UI could visually appear as having energy shield when the player had none. Fixed a bug where enemies could cast Detonate Dead on player minions when the players were using the sacrifice gem. Fixed problems in the Savannah Abyss seepage maps where sections of the area could become inaccessible. Fixed a bug where unique item Corpse Wave did not work when the player was using the King of the Faradin's body armor. Fixed a bug where Hate Forge uniques were negative values to the maximum range modifier caused on the modifier to not show. Fixed a bug where Blink allowed travel to the past of the Ziggurat encampment without traversing through the time portal. Fixed a bug was in the Instilling UI that displayed a tainted oil slot, which doesn't exist. Fixed a bug where allocating Chaos Inoculation would incorrectly count you as being on low mana. Fixed a bug where crossbow skills could fail to reload when spamming the ability when using a controller. Fixed a bug when stashing a skill gem with attached support gems would cause the support gem to become invisible. These now unpack into the relevant stash tab. Okay, so this might cause some of my lost support gems to come back. And I think that might have been happened. Fix the alignment of the Mirror of Kalandra within the Currency Stats tab. Fixed a bug in the Vol Factory map where some humanoid monsters would remain inactive. I was thinking that might be going on. I was wondering about that. That'll make Vol Factory much more rewarding. Fixed a bug where the Elemental Storm Gem had the physical tag. A lot of these are just like things where it's just like something gets entered in a spreadsheet and yeah. Fixed a bug where gas clouds could spawn in unwalkable terrain. Fixed a bug where minion objects could stretch into unwalkable terrain. Fixed a bug where burial bog map could generate with a broken loop. Fixed a bug where world map always open displaying an above ground area even when the player was in an underground area. Fixed a bug where the strong boxes could fail to generate any monsters. I hadn't seen that, but with some of the way the strong boxes were behaving. Fixed a bug with dodge roll, which allowed the player to roll through bone walls and frost walls. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. There are some bosses where I think we've been dodge rolling through their walls for like their traps and stuff we weren't supposed to be. So those boss fights might be getting more dangerous. Fixed a bug with dodge rolls, which allowed player to roll off of the Ardura caravan. I had not seen that, but that's just amusing. would be really funny if it even had like an animation where they roll on like the caravan's in progress, you roll off the ramp and all right, fix the bugs where soul cores of Atmahua, Zantipi, and Cholotl could not be used for the 3-to-1 recipe. Fix the bug with the relic modifier giving a chance to gain another key was incorrectly always applying. Skip tutorials no longer prevents you from leaving town without engraving a gem. I had not seen that yet, but that I have seen some interesting interactions going on with the skip tutorials. Or with tutorials in general. Like, I'm pretty sure there's a tutorial freeze that can happen with controllers during the I don't know if they fixed it or not, but the Devourer boss fight. That's definitely a bot. You can usually tell the bots by their names, but like that was definitely a bot. But yeah, there was a freeze. I don't know if they fixed it or not, where if you're playing on controller or playing on console and you've got tutorials enabled, during the Devour boss fight, you will get a tutorial pop up potentially to tell you to heal and using one of your flasks. And that tutorial might pop up earlier, but I only seem to ever spawn it in the Devourer. And that can break the game. All right. Remove a redundant block chance description on Sephiel's Frame Unique. Fixed a bug which could cause the landmark room chest in the Mausoleum of Praetor from being open. Fixed a bug where Elemental Storm was missing the triggered tag. Fixed a bug which allowed Glacial Cascade's hits to freeze enemies. Fixed a bug in the Trial of Sekimas where some traps audio failed to play. I think I had encountered that. Fixed a bug where Unbound Avatar could gain stacks from inanimate objects. Fixed a bug in the Temple of Chaos where lead slamming into an arena could cause the encounter to not complete. Fixed a bug where damage gained is fire, cold, and lightning were missing tags, causing essences to be unable to roll these modifiers. Fixed a bug where Act 1 to Act 2 transition cinematics sometimes played when entering the Adura caravan rather than when traveling from Act 1. Fixed a bug where some loot in the Temple of Chaos could get stuck in blocking. Fixed a bug where favored map slot UI notification would appear, corrupting a tier 15 waystone into a tier 16 waystone. Fixed a bug which could prevent the player from returning to the Vistiri outskirts if they traveled there by warping to a party member, then warping to a different party member. Fixed a bug where supercritical supports 2D arts were not displaying in some cases. And fixed a bug where expedition chests and maps were not displaying their rarity. All right, controller improvements. We definitely need them. While using currency, inventory navigation using RS will ignore items the currently selected currency could not be used on. Thank you. Added a bindable action to show hide item and object labels. While on the world map screen, you can now press B or circle to leave the underground. Oh, sorry. Again, I kind of do it on reflex just to both for the satisfaction of the crushing and to make more space in the trash. Also make it harder for wind to blow it around if it gets loose from trash. Cosmetic tab in the navigation menu has been moved to the end, so you can no longer have to navigate through it to reach the quest or Alice tabs. Thank you. Improved auto-targeting logic for very large bosses such as Torgul. Again, this is one where, big Titan boss probably needs some help. Yep, Diablo is on Xbox. Yay! That's a game where it's worth playing if you haven't played it, just to kind of see how far we've come. But I do think that, especially like, I played so much Diablo when that game came out. I played a ton of the original Diablo. And yeah. But yeah, it is not aged well. Diablo is not aged well. The game now pauses by default if a controller becomes disconnected, with an option in game tab to instead disconnect. I've personally seen things where disconnect just disconnects you from the game, period. So this is something that I think they just was fixing to how it's supposed to work. Auto targeting no longer aggressively prioritizes larger enemies and objects, such as the Tempest Bell. Pressing X or square while holding a stack of items now deposited a single item from the stack in the currently selected space. Hopefully you add a tooltip for that too, please. Hovering a support gem over a filled socket will now show the support gem currently in that socket. Thank you. Trying to socket invalid gems using a controller now gives appropriate error message. Switching to controller input on character that was created with keyboard and mouse input no longer results in the character having no actions bound. Fixed a bug that prevented re-rolling expedition vendors while using a controller. There is now also a dedicated button. I hope you have a tooltip for that too. Fixed a bug where Gemling Gem's studded notable passive was not accounted for when socketing support gems using a controller. Fixed a bug where the Lost Tower interface had inconsistent controls when using a controller. Fixed a bug that sometimes prevented navigation and hideout stash while using a controller. Fixed a bug that prevented player 2 from using the salvage bench in co-op. Thank you. Fixed a bug that prevented 2 from equipping cosmetics in co-op. Thank you. Fixed a bug that caused some types of specialized stash tabs to fail to display when accessed by players. Fixed a bug preventing the toggling of advanced descriptions while investigating an item. Fixed a bug preventing moving a socketed support gem into a different socket. Fixed a bug where enable held targeting option did not function for crossbow ammunition skills. And fixed a bug where certain skills would not be performed if used while holding down a different skill input. Console improvements. Item filters can now be used on consoles by subscribing to a filter on Path of Exile website. That is going to be so good for when I'm playing with my niece. A link to set up an item filter is now provided in the filter section of the settings menu under the game tab, and fixed a bug where cutscenes and informational videos had incorrect color grading on Xbox Series consoles with HDR enabled. All right, and then we have some localization fixes for translations and accents. All right, and then we have a bunch of microtransactions that have been enabled. All right. So yeah, that is a lot. These are not, other than the uniques. The unique items are potentially going to cause at least some balance changes for certain builds. And those unique item changes might also change some stuff with the economy and how those unique items are valued. With any luck, at least some divines will get pulled out of the economy in order to reroll some of these uniques. But I wouldn't hold my breath. We do need an economy reset. We do not know when that is going to happen. We do know that they are working on a patch that will come with an economy reset. Again, that was announced by Mark and Jonathan. So, but in the meantime, this should improve certain aspects of the game. So if you were struggling with certain things, or if you feel like you've played enough PoE2 in its current form for now, this is not enough to bring you back, I don't think. I'm still playing, I'm still having fun, so this will help with some of the things I was struggling with, but not all of them. But this is definitely, like, if you were just like, yeah, I'm done with the game, this is not going to be bringing you back. We're obviously still probably going to see content creators playing and giving feedback. And again, I do think that we do still need to be feedback. Again, cannot emphasize this enough. This is just the stuff that they felt they could easily fix having come back from holidays. So we've got more content coming. We've got more balance changes and tweaks coming. So if, like, for example, if you're like, oh, I can't stand this game because I think the trials really, really suck, then this is not fixing that issue, but that fix might be coming. We just don't know. We do not know what all at this point they are intending to fix. So now that is one thing that would be nice. It would be cool if we could get another announcement at some point, or maybe even a forum post saying, hey, this is what we're going to be fixing next. But we probably will see something like that. But yeah, but they are still going through feedback. Like, one of the things that Mark and Jonathan made clear is, like, they are not done going through the feedback. We kind of went a little nuts with the feedback. Even I probably went a lot. I wonder, honestly, if maybe I should have put all of my feedback into one thread and just replied with new responses to that thread instead of having the multiple threads. I know at least one person who was doing kind of a playthrough like feedback, like I did, who put all of their stuff in one thread. And that's probably, you are the smart man or person or girl or whatever. You are the smart one. Doing that was probably the smart thing. I am the dumb. So, yeah. But yeah, so they're still going through all our feedback. So, and just because they're going through feedback, keep the feedback coming. And again, the best way, in my opinion, the best way to do feedback, okay, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, the best way to do feedback is find a thread where someone is already providing that feedback and upvote it. Basically bump it. Say, if you can be more specific in your feedback in that thread, that's a better thing. If it's a similar issue and you don't completely agree with the thread, then go ahead and make a new thread, because the more specific you are with how you feel about certain mechanics or things in the game, the more actionable that feedback will be. The more that GGG can look at things and go, okay, well, maybe we can tweak this to fix this, or maybe we can change this system to fix this. So actionable feedback where you are telling, either supporting people who have posted, who are giving actionable feedback that you agree with, or you are giving specific actionable feedback that is your specific opinion on things. Posting threads that are clickbait to try to get more attention, that's not useful. You know, and again, we're a big enough community. There were a lot of people who signed on to this game and have access to this forum. You know, we know that over 1 million people redeemed keys, and so over 1 million people have access to the forum. And anytime you do that, you've got bad actors in the forum. You've got people who are trolling and who are just, you know, don't feed the trolls. Don't, you know, support or comment on people who are just being bad actors or just complaining. And or also, same by same token, don't just support, you know, the people who are making clickbait threads or things like that where they're giving positive opinions too. You know, actionable feedback. And again, speaking of positive opinions, letting GGG know what's working for you is important too, because if you're just complaining about the things that aren't working, they might change a system that you do like if they don't know that that system is good. So make sure you let them know that too. Not only just to give the devs that little pat on the back they might be needing, but you know, also, you know, again, you don't want them to go, well, you know, this system needs completely reworked, and then they change the one thing you actually liked about the system. So letting them know what's working is a good idea. But again, I'm very happy with this. This is definitely a fantastic patch. This is going to probably make the game continue to push the game towards, you know, the true masterpiece status, the true greatest action RPG of all time. So, you know, this is the kind of thing that we need, and feedback that helps us get patches like this is what we need to keep providing. So I think I've said my piece there. So until next time, I've been Exiled Erdrick, and I'll see you all in Rayclast.